part of your model is making a push toward more suburban offices as more of us are working from home and looking for options close to home. Yet, given the fact that we're still in the middle of a pandemic and both of us are still sheltering in place, is there really demand for this?
Well, thanks for having me. I actually gave myself a self haircut this morning, which was a very sort of quarantine moment, and I'm very happy I'm on the phone, not on video. But look, I think the reality of working today and moving forward is that the companies that navigate this best, I think, are going to be the ones that give their employees choice. That say, if you want to work from home, work from home. If you want to come into HQ on Mondays, come into HQ on Mondays. And if you want a local no-commute office in Short Hills, New Jersey, or Westchester, or, the northern Chicago suburbs, that's your option too. This sort of putting the power and the choice in employees' hands, I think, is the most important prerogative for most companies as they solve their workplace needs over the next coming years. And the reality is, for most companies, they need a space as a service provider to partner with them in doing that. So I think, the next few years have a lot of sort of demand in store given that reality.
So first of all, Jamie, I just want to let you know that those bad haircuts do grow out, as I learned giving my husband one that was terrible.
Thank God.
Luckily, we're past that. Let's talk about this, though, because, increasingly CEOs are telling us that their employees may be able to work from home forever. I mean, this is a permanent shift. We are in the middle of a permanent shift in how work is distributed, and even when we're out of the pandemic, even when there is a vaccine or a cure. Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg told me employees can possibly still work from home. So are you fighting an inevitable trend?
No, I couldn't agree more with that. I never can figure out the right phrase for this, but I think the dominant trend in the workplace for the last 10 years or so has been basically something like the democratization of real estate or of workplace, really doing much better. Instead of saying the CEO lives in Greenwich, so let's put the headquarters in Stamford, really listening to what employees need and want. And what COVID has revealed is that there are lots of different types of employees. There are people who commute 2 hours every day and people who can walk 2 minutes to the office. There's people who have to do 5 hours of childcare every day in the middle of the day and people who are years away from that. And as a result, there's very different needs employee by employee. And the answer, and I think this goes right to the heart of this question of work from home, is not to be coercive. It's not to say you have to come in, and it's also not to say you have to spend the next 3 years in your living room, but rather to give employees the choice. And one of those choices, I couldn't believe more strongly, should be working from home, either all the time or some of the time or whenever that employee needs that.
Right. Now, quickly, you're working towards an IPO as early as next spring. We've obviously seen WeWork's IPO plans fall through. Is next spring an accurate timeline? And what is the investor appetite? We've got about 30 seconds.
So I would say, going public has kind of always been our long-term plan to date. We're reviewing the business in a pretty comprehensive way. And I think kind of middle of next year, we will have some strategic options, and I think we probably haven't gotten to the end of saying what does all of this mean for the timeline, but it certainly seems credible to me, and I do think this is the kind of company, because we do liability light, asset light, partnerships with landlords instead of signing leases, it does feel to me like a company that's a good fit for the public markets.